Hulu show based on true story left fans broken by the weight of what can't be undone. Good American Family is based on the real-life story of Natalia Grace, but the fictionalized version of the tale is leaving fans absolutely crumbling. The penultimate episode of Good American Family had fans on the edge of their seats. Good American Family is a Hulu limited series based on the shocking case of the adoption of Natalia Grace by Christine and Michael Barnett that is told from multiple points of view. Helen Pompeo and Mark Duplass play the Barnetts while Imogen Faith Reed plays Natalia. Ukrainian native Natalia, who was born with a form of dwarfism called dystrophic dysplasia, was adopted by the Barnetts with their 3 biological children in 2010. The Indiana couple, who were her second adoptive parents, alleged that Natalia was not actually a child, but was an adult, and accused her of harming them and the family, which Natalia has denied, as well as maintained she was a child. Natalia was also medically proven to have been a child then and had her birth year of 2003 restored in August 2023 as a result of medical tests and DNA analysis. The Indiana couple, who were her second adoptive parents, alleged that Natalia was not actually a child, but was an adult, and accused her of harming them and the family, which Natalia has denied, as well as maintained she was a child. Natalia was also medically proven to have been a child then and had her birth year of 2003 restored in August 2023 as a result of medical tests and DNA analysis. Treesdale is based on the real-life detective Brandon Davenport, who played a role in investigation of Natalia's case. Fans were heartbroken and angry by the emotionally charged episode. One fan wrote, "This episode broke something deep inside of me. Everything I thought I understood fell apart, and all that's left is the weight of what can't be undone." A second fan wrote, "The way this Good American Family story turned is crazy." Another said, "It's infuriating what these grown-ass folks did to this little girl." One fan was confused by the different perspectives the show was doing and wasn't sure what was true. The writers on #GoodAmericanFamily spent 3 episodes convincing us that Natalia Grace was an adult, a menacing one at that. Scene after scene, they had her torturing the family. Now they're walking it back. Suddenly, the parents are the villains. I'm so lost. Within the 7th episode, Michael confessed to Drysdale that he and Christine knew Natalia was a minor when her age was legally changed, and that Christine abused Natalia. At that point of Michael's admission, he and Christine were divorced, and his estranged ex-wife was keeping their sons away from him. Michael's confession led to the couple being charged with neglect and conspiracy to commit neglect. In real life, the Barnetts were charged with neglect of a dependent and conspiracy to commit neglect of a dependent in 2019. An Indiana judge had dismissed the case because of Grace's legal age, but prosecutors then brought up new charges of neglect involving Grace's dwarfism disability, per the Journal and Courier. Michael was acquitted in October 2022, and Christine's charges were dismissed in March 2023. The last episode of the limited series will air on Wednesday, April 30, and will be available to stream on Hulu. When Ashes of Yesterday premiered on Hulu, no one was ready. Billed as a true story, too haunting to forget, the limited series carried a quiet, aching sadness that seeped into every frame. By the end of its 6-episode run, viewers across the world were left gutted, their hearts heavy under the crushing weight of what can't be undone. The show follows the real-life story of Mae Whitlock, a bright, tender-hearted young woman from a small coastal town in Maine, whose life took a devastating turn after a single fateful decision. Without sensationalizing or glossing over the pain, Ashes of Yesterday peels back the layers of guilt, grief, and irreversible consequences with delicate precision. Every moment feels painstakingly real, because it is. Set against the backdrop of rocky shores and overcast skies, the series captures the relentless passage of time. From the very first episode, viewers are introduced to May, her infectious laugh, and her dreams of becoming a writer. She's engaged to her high school sweetheart, Eli, and they're saving every penny to move to New York. But life, as it so often does, has other plans. On one rainy night, a simple argument between May and Eli snowballs. Fueled by frustration, May storms out, deciding to drive home instead of cooling down. What happens next becomes the moment that defines the rest of her life, and tears the tightly woven fabric of their small town apart. A car accident, a life lost, and the devastating aftermath that no apology, no penance, could ever mend. What makes Ashes of Yesterday so harrowing isn't just the tragedy itself. It's how beautifully the series captures the slow, unbearable process of living with it. The show doesn't offer catharsis, forgiveness, or easy answers. Instead, it lingers on the silences, the missed opportunities, the irreversible weight of choices made in seconds. The audience is forced to sit with May in her grief, her guilt, her isolation, as the world moves on without her. The true power of the show lies in its quiet moments. May staring out at the ocean, the waves crashing relentlessly as she imagines different versions of her life. Eli's mother refusing to meet May's eyes in the grocery store. The empty chair at family gatherings. A voicemail left unheard. These small, devastating beats accumulated into something massive. A portrait of sorrow so full it seemed almost unbearable to watch. And yet, people couldn't look away. Social media exploded after each episode dropped. Viewers shared raw, emotional posts, confessing that they had to pause episodes just to catch their breath. Some said they hadn't cried so hard since watching Chernobyl or When They See Us. Others admitted they needed to step away from the show for days at a time, unable to process the enormity of May's pain in one sitting. "I'm broken," one fan wrote. "This isn't just a show. It's an echo of every mistake I can't take back, every I'm sorry I never got to say." Another said, "It's the weight of what can't be undone that wrecks me." How do you live with something you can never fix? Part of the devastation came from knowing that May was a real person. That her story wasn't a creation of Hollywood writers, but a raw wound documented through court records, newspaper articles, and first-hand interviews. Hulu's production team worked closely with May's surviving family members and the families affected by the accident, ensuring the portrayal remained respectful and honest. Perhaps the most heartbreaking revelation came at the end of the series. A real clip of May, years later, speaking at a community event about forgiveness and grief. Her voice trembled as she described how healing wasn't a destination, but a road she walked every day, and would continue to walk for the rest of her life. "No matter how much you wish to rewrite it," she said, her voice breaking, "some things can't be undone. And somehow you have to find a way to carry both the guilt and the love." It was this line that sent shockwaves through the fandom. Thousands of posts quoted it. Artists created haunting illustrations of May standing on a foggy shoreline, her figure half fading into mist. Poets wrote about the hollow ache of apology. Musicians composed songs inspired by her story, raw and shattering. But the show didn't just break viewers, it changed them. Support groups formed online where fans, many of whom had carried their own heavy regrets, gathered to share their experiences and find comfort in the idea that they weren't alone. For some, Ashes of Yesterday became a catalyst for real conversations about grief, guilt, and forgiveness in their own lives. In interviews, the show's creator, Lena Cartwright, explained why she wanted to tell May's story. "I wasn't interested in telling a story about redemption," Cartwright said. I wanted to tell a story about survival, about what it means to wake up every day knowing you can't change the worst thing you ever did, and yet somehow you have to keep living. Because so many of us are carrying that same invisible weight. Indeed, Ashes of Yesterday never offers tidy conclusions. May doesn't find a magical closure. There's no sweeping courtroom victory, no dramatic absolution. Just small, painful steps forward, one at a time. And maybe that's why the series hurt so much, because it mirrored real life. Because it reminded us that sometimes the most profound acts of bravery are not grand gestures, but simply choosing to wake up and carry the weight another day. Hulu took a risk greenlighting Ashes of Yesterday, a slow, devastating, deeply human story that doesn't flinch from discomfort. But in doing so, they created something unforgettable. A true story that left fans shattered, yes, but also connected by the quiet understanding that none of us are alone in the things we can't undo.